Hi everyone, my name is Becca Berkey and I'm the director of the Service Learning Program here at Northeastern University, and this training is going to be looking at service learning at Northeastern and really thinking about where do we fit into what's happening at the university, our strategy around community engagement, and what is your role in that. So my main goal with this talk is to explore and make transparent our connection as a program to the big picture of community engagement work at the university, and to clearly articulate what your role as a service learning student leader is in that. So we'll start out with the what, who we are. As you may or may not know, the service learning program here at Northeastern is part of our Center of Community Service. We have other programs that fall in the Center of Community Service, and you can see some of those listed here. We do have a couple of AmeriCorps programs that are focused on early youth with Jumpstart and with Mass Promise Fellowship, middle schoolers and high schoolers. We have a suite of co-curricular service programs, so things that are happening outside of academics here at the university. And then finally, we have our program, which is unique in the programs in our center in that we really focus on curricular engagement, both through classes that are happening at the university, in addition to some research and scholarship work that we support. The mission, vision, and values of the Center of Community Service, and you've seen this before in your other trainings, but can never see or be reminded of these too much. The mission of the Center of Community Service is to facilitate partnerships and programs that connect community assets with university resources through engagement and education. Our vision is that the Center of Community Service envisions transformational partnerships that recognize the role and leverage the resources of the university in creating a more just world. And our values are intentionality, an asset-based approach, curiosity and learning, equity and inclusion, and cultural responsiveness. So all of the programs that I mentioned in the Center of Community Service ascribe to these values, this mission statement, and this vision statement. So where does the Center of Community Service fall then at the university? So I talked about co-curricular things, I talked about AmeriCorps programs, I talked about service learning, which is curricular in nature. So we actually report up through City and Community Affairs here at the university. So John Tobin serves as the Vice President of City and Community Affairs, and there is a staff of folks that work in the main office. And then the other pieces that are part of City and Community Affairs, in addition to the Center of Community Service, where the service learning program falls, are Northeastern Crossing, which is a space you may or may not have experienced over near International Village on Tremont Street, and then the Youth Development Initiative Project, otherwise known as YDIP. So these different pieces being part of City and Community Affairs, I think are really exciting. At many universities, our program, the service learning program specifically, would fall under academic affairs. And there are benefits to that in being able to reach faculty and build relationships with academic departments, etc. However, being housed in City and Community Affairs, I think, allows us to work with all of these entities across our division and across the university in thinking about how do we really place at the center of our thinking what the community is looking to accomplish and not just what the university is looking to do. So where does City and Community Affairs fall? You can see here. So we have service learning, we've talked about Center of Community Service, City and Community Affairs. We fall then under the Office of the General Counsel, which is spearheaded by the Senior Vice President, Ralph Martin. And that then, Ralph himself reports to the president. So that is kind of where we're situated at the university. And you can see here that student affairs and academic affairs and all of the entities that fall underneath them operate kind of separately from where we operate in the organizational hierarchy. So what? So why does any of this matter, and why does our work matter? So one of the big things, and if you think about that mission statement and that vision statement, is how do we think about channeling the gifts and assets that Northeastern has, and the privilege that it has as an institution, into working with the community and working in collaboration with the community to accomplish the goals that it's set for itself. So how do we utilize the learning and knowledge capital here to help complement what is already happening in our community? This looks a number of different ways, and one of the reasons that it matters why we're housed where we're housed is that our university and all universities are in constant communication with the communities around them, and part of that is so we can, as a university, build the sorts of buildings we need, like you see ISEC here, for research to happen, working in the community with things like Carter Playground, which you see a picture of on the right, which was redeveloped and relaunched last year, which is accessible both to the Northeastern community, but really is meant to be a space for the broader community as well. And then, this bridge project that's happening, I'm sure you've seen some of the other projects and construction happening around campus. And our work really fits into, building relationships, building trust with the community so that the university is able to, take on the capital infrastructure that it's interested in taking on, and doing that in a way that is going to complement what the community is really interested in. So in a lot of ways, our program serves then in all of the nests that I showed earlier that we're part of as a bridge to Greater Boston, and as a bridge to a lot of the goals that the university has in relation to that. So now what? What does this mean for all of you? So just, a couple of examples of how this might play out in your work. If you're a service learning teaching assistant, it could be that you find out in your class that one of your students is participating in another Center of Community Service program. So many times you might have a student who is, volunteering with an organization through some other program in our center or at the university, and they want to expand on that partnership for the service learning portion of their course. And so having a sense of how these different parts play together is really helpful for that. An example to give for a service learning street team member is, you're going to be out and about walking with folks on community tours. So you might pass some of these Northeastern development projects that I just talked about, and knowing how service learning and, like I said, those relationships that we're building with the community impact those projects is really important, and I think can be really useful to bring up to folks. So I'll wrap this up by saying welcome to the team of City and Community Affairs at Northeastern. While you'll mostly be interfacing with our program in your role, as well as your faculty member in the department that your class is in, we just wanted to let you know that you are part of this larger narrative that's happening at the university, and you are part of the broader landscape around community engagement between Northeastern and the neighborhoods surrounding it. So welcome to the team. Thanks.